Breakfast.
The Radio Whammo Breakfast.
Talking politics with Russell Norman.
Co-leader of the Greens, it is Russell Norman. Morning, Russell.
Morning, Whammo.
Good morning. First up, let's talk capital gains tax. Of course, it's been... oh, gosh. It's been a policy, of course, from the Greens for quite a while now, some time. But now Labour have announced, or it's been leaked that they will announce that they are quite keen on a capital gains tax if they were to be re-elected. What are your thoughts?
Well, we haven't seen the detail from Labor yet, but if they do go down that path, then that's good. If you're someone who wants to buy a house, because obviously house prices doubled over the first part of this century, over about a 10-year period, and at least half of that price increase is because we currently subsidise investment properties through the tax system. So taking away that subsidy, I think, would be a great thing for people who want to buy a house. And
a bit of an earner for the country, by the sounds.
Yeah, once it comes into force, the estimates are that it would raise around $4.5 billion a year in terms of revenue. Could be more, could be less. It just depends on the capital gains during the period. But it would take a while to kick in because you would start at zero. So all current investment properties and other sources of capital will be rated at zero as today. So it would be capital gains in the future. But
it's another case of Green Party policy becoming mainstreamed.
Yeah, well, it's hard work creating a coalition partner that's of any use, but we're slowly getting there, piece by piece. So slowly we get them. All we've got to do now is stop them with their ridiculous motorway obsession. I'm just standing at the Basin Reserve in Wellington, where there's a plan for a brand new motorway funded by hundreds of millions of borrowed dollars so that we can increase traffic in Wellington.
Yes. Now, of course, the government yesterday announced their infrastructure plan for the next few years, and as you just mentioned, motorways is a big part of that. Did public transport at all feature in that at all?
A very minor way. Basically, it's roads, and roads. So depending on which document you read, they're looking at probably something like $16 billion in new motorways. They're cutting funding to public transport, walking, cycling, road safety, community roads, local roads, in order that they can fund a huge increase in funding to new motorways so they can slice and dice our communities up with their Easter Island statues, which is what it's all about, so that they can leave their mark on our country. And so people will remember Stephen Joyce. He's the guy, him and Michael Cullen, who left us these great statues all over our country called giant motorways.
Was the Holiday Highway still in there?
Holiday Highway is definitely there. Rather than spend a much smaller amount of money to actually make the road safe, which is a real issue, they're actually still planning on an entirely brand new motorway. Even though volumes on that motorway are dropping, because of course with oil prices, there's been a decrease in the amount of traffic on the state highway network.
Yeah.
But their response to a decrease in traffic is to build more motorways in the hope that they'll encourage more traffic. And in a world of climate change and rising oil prices, they are actually insane. They are certifiably insane, Labor and National, on this motorway madness.
I think Stephen Joyce was quizzed on what he expects to be riding on some of these motorways, particularly the Holiday Highway, and he said something like, those future vehicles, those things.
Yeah, magic. Magic will sort it out. Remember, we can all rely on magic. So somehow or another, we're going to find a solution to the fact that oils are going to become really expensive. And it might be electric cars, but let's not underrate how difficult it is to replace all of our car fleet with electric cars. It's hugely difficult.
Now, there are some projects that do need to be finished, like the Western Ring Route, right? That's got to be done.
Well, it wouldn't be where I'd spend the next dollar. This is all about opportunity costs. So where would you spend the next $1 billion or $2 billion in Auckland? I actually think the next couple of billion I'd spend in Auckland would be on improving the public transport network, particularly the rail loop, because the rail system there is about to hit its limits because you can only get a certain number of trains in and out of Britomart because it's a dead end. So until you build the rail loop, you can't increase the capacity of the system. So where would you spend the next, $5 billion on transport in Auckland? Would it be on new motorways or would it be improving the public transport system and making walking and cycling safe?
Yeah, it's a good question. On to something else, though, now. The Federated Farmers came out this week and blamed trout for ruining New Zealand's waterways. Is that true?
So Lachlan McKenzie, who was the the head of the dairy division of the Feds, he gave an extraordinary speech at the Federated Farmers Conference where he, amongst other things, blamed trout and a whole bunch of other stuff. So the freshwater scientists yesterday put out a response where basically they pilloried the Lachlan's argument, because basically it's true that trout have an effect on freshwater and they do eat native fish, no question about it, but compared to the impact of intensive agriculture, it's a pretty small impact, and the big decline in recent years is because of the big expansion in intensive agriculture.
Yeah, not the slithery, slimy fish.
Well, that's right. One of the scientists did say unless someone could show that the trout had grown hooves and were stomping all over the ground, it would be hard to blame them for the decline in water quality.
It's been an extraordinary week, actually, for really strange claims by lobby groups, because there was also the coal lobby overseas that warns that wind farms may blow Earth off orbit.
Well, I think that was on The Onion, if I recall. So I'm not sure that we could necessarily say that's what the coal lobby wants. But they come up with various equally stupid ideas like clean coal. Woohoo!
I wanted to stick that to them, but there we go. There goes Russell Norman, co-leader of the Greens, who's just obviously gone out of reception area there. But there we go, 22 minutes past 8.